I was fed a steady diet of stereotypes and misconceptions. China, I was told, was a land of repression, pollution, government control. It was a place where personal freedoms were non-existent and the quality of life was subpar. Yet, despite these warnings, I decided to take the plunge and see it for myself.
这段视频来自国外最大的视频网站，油管上叫哈维在中国的英国小伙发布的标题为“为什么我改变了对中国的看法”的视频。所有的一切答案都将在他抵达中国后揭晓。当他睁开眼睛看到的第一眼，就颠覆了他所有先入为主的想法。映入眼帘的一切都和他想象中的不一样。由此可见，西方媒体对于抹黑中国是多么的卖力。
This video will be a reflection on how my views about China have drastically changed since I moved here. As a naive young boy, before coming to China, my primary source of information was, of course, the media. Like many people, I have to say, I did believe the narratives that I saw on the news and read in articles. Could you blame me? I really knew no better. The portrayal of China in Western media was often negative, focusing on issues like human rights, censorship, and environmental concerns. No coverage of China acknowledged the progress and positive aspects of Chinese society. The image painted was one of a dystopian society where people live in fear and poverty, a stark contrast to the reality myself and every other person who steps foot here experiences for themselves. Sure, the country isn't perfect. No country is. And China has issues that they are of course working on. But is it like the China that we see on BBC News back home? Well, no, of course it's not.
西方媒体的报道实在是太恶劣了，外国网友也看不下去了，纷纷力挺，让他深入人心。说真话被贴上宣传的标签，说谎被认为是自由的言论。我们今天生活在一个疯狂世界。我是德国人，在中国生活了5年多。西方媒体如何描绘中国，真是可悲。更可悲的是，很多人都相信这一点。事实上，许多西方人认为西方根本不存在宣传，因为他们相信他们生活在自由民主的世界之中。但这是大错特错，相信我，作为一个住在德国的德国人，我可以告诉你一件事，德国人经常说关于中国的事，尤其是媒体。但是如果你问中国人关于德国的问题，他们通常表现出非常积极的态度，他们谈论德国的科技和社会制度有多么伟大，你看到区别了吗？只是一件事，我有很多想说的，中国是一个神奇的国家，我可以告诉任何人，如果你甚至没有访问中国，也没有真正的文化体验，你就没有权利去评价这个国家。中国是令人惊奇的，是充满机遇的新大陆。我将努力在我国打开越来越多的人的眼睛。这就是为什么我不再看英国广播公司或任何电视频道，也不看任何报纸的原因。这些外国网友的评论很客观真实，而我们的男主角哈维，在他刚到中国的前2个半月，他意识到了自己的认知有多么偏见和不完整。他真正的意识到，想要了解一个国家，要亲眼目睹它，而不是仅仅来自外界的描述。他来到中国去了许多城市，上海、武汉、广州等每个城市都特别的干净、平静祥和。哈维说自己对中国最大的误解就是人民生活质量低劣，大部分人生活条件艰苦，食不果腹，衣不蔽体。对于这种刻板印象，小编只想说大清早亡了。而真实的中国，目前他所见过的城市基础设施都是世界一流的，超过了许多西方城市，甚至是所有的西方城市。
Of course, as you would expect in first-tier cities like Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, the infrastructure is world-class. There's no doubt about that. It surpasses that of many Western cities, most Western cities, perhaps all Western cities. Many Westerners who travel here on the visa-free 144-hour policy that is absolutely shattering narratives. They are as shocked as I was when they see these cities for the first time. Public transportation is efficient, affordable and incredibly modern. The availability of technology from mobile payment systems to high-speed internet is unparalleled. But it's not even just the first-tier cities that are pulling ahead of the rest of the world. The second and third-tier cities are arguably just as amazing. Of course,
哈维说自己说出这些话，并不是因为所谓的财富密码，也不是为了获取流量，也不是中国拿钱让他来做宣传。这个视频里面的内容都是他自己拍摄，不是人工智能生成的。
But the reality is, this is true what I'm saying, whether you choose to believe it or not. The standard of living in urban China is remarkably high, contrary to what I had been led to believe. The cities are clean, safe and well maintained. The air quality, while still an issue in some places, has improved significantly in recent years. I mean, you can now even see the Beijing skyline all the way from the Great Wall of China. The misconception that China is a backward country with poor living standards is simply not true. In fact, in many ways, China is at the forefront of modern urban living. Now, it may sound to some of you guys like I'm always singing China's praises. Perhaps that is true.
这家伙的心很红啊！你们可以觉得我在赞扬中国，你说对了，我就是在唱中国的赞歌，这都是事实。我为什么不能说，现实还有那么多的西方人对中国抱有极大的偏见，他们对真实的中国一无所知，无条件地相信自己在媒体上听到的虚假信息。
You can click on any video about China on any of the social media platforms in the West, and you'll be met with a steady stream of constant misinformation from people who say the wildest things about China. So as long as those people still exist and believe these narratives that they are fed, I will continue making videos like this one. I was told that it was a closed-off society, isolated from the rest of the world. This could not be further from the truth. The ASPI, a notoriously anti-China think tank funded by some other people, just released a report on the 64 key technologies of the future and the countries who are leading the development of those technologies. Now, the report admits that in 57 of the 64 critical technologies of the future, China is leading the way. Another major misconception I had was regarding personal freedoms in China. The narrative I was familiar with suggested that China was a surveillance state, a place where people had little to no freedom, and that you were always being watched. While, of course, it is true that China has a lot of cameras monitoring day-to-day life, really, is that a bad thing? I will challenge anybody to give me an accurate breakdown of why this is actually a bad thing. I am not under the impression that it is. In fact, paradoxically, it gives citizens even more freedom. The freedom to go out at night without fear of being harmed. The freedom for girls to walk the streets without fear of being harassed. The freedom to leave your belongings in the cafe whilst you go to the toilet, and for them to actually be there when you get back. How many countries in the world can you say that that is possible? The freedom to not have your bike stolen or be a victim of petty crime. In my experience, people in China are free to live their lives as they see fit. Of course, you can't go and spread rumours on the internet. That's not good for society. Social media isn't flooded with porn or harassment or damaging content. So, while there are, of course, restrictions on certain types of content, that doesn't mean that people go about their daily lives with feeling oppressed or controlled. And surveillance doesn't intrude into your daily life or invade your privacy in any way. That has been my experience so far. Before moving to China, I was told that it was a closed-off society, isolated from the rest of the world. This could not be further from the truth. China may not flood its cities and communities with people of different nationalities and opposing cultures or religions, but that doesn't mean it's a closed society. And of course, that is their choice. So despite this stereotype, China is a country that is in fact deeply connected to the global community. Its first-tier cities are international hubs filled with expatriates and international businesses. Millions and millions and millions of tourists come here each year. The Chinese people in exchange are deeply curious about foreigners and the world, and of course, many millions of young people go off themselves to study or travel abroad too. In fact, many tourism destinations around the world simply would not be able to survive without the amount of tourists that they get from China. Many leading Western universities simply would not be able to survive or function if they didn't have the amount of Chinese students that they do. In fact, China is probably one of the leading exporters of students around the world. One of the most rewarding aspects of living in China, without doubt, has been discovering its cultural richness and diversity. Now, you might think, sitting at home, that China is just one people, and They don't really have any diversity, they're all Chinese. Before coming here, that was kind of my view as well. I have to admit, I had a very singular, monolithic view of Chinese culture, shaped largely, of course, by stereotypes and zero exposure to its depth and variety. What I realise now is that China is a country with a huge range of cultures, languages and traditions. Each province is different in terms of food, histories, clothing, geographically. It's absolutely amazing. But what's more is that each region may have its own unique customs and characteristics, but they all have a singular national identity and are all fundamentally proud of their heritage and that they are Chinese. It's not like in the UK or America where every community is fragmented against each other with lots of infighting. No, they may speak different dialects, have different cuisines, even different faces, but they are all one people, and I think that's great. So, living in China has been an eye-opening experience that has challenged and ultimately changed many of my preconceived notions. The country is far more complex and dynamic than I ever imagined. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that to truly understand a place, you really need to go out there and experience it firsthand. Nothing else will come close. So if you're watching this at home in the West and thinking about visiting China like so many people have been doing recently, why not seize the opportunity presented by the current visa policy and come here? See things for yourself, without a filter of Western media bias. Thanks for watching.